Dale is not here, which means you don't have to do fraternity stuff. So.
All right.
What'd you learn today?
We continue to see that the pain is real. It's all across Montgomery County. It's all across the state of Maryland. That it's not even just this completely unnecessary shutdown that's taking place. It's what was happening to the people of our state even before the federal shutdown began. This assault on our people has real implications, and so it's really good that Maryland has such remarkable public servants, that we are here in a place that is one of the first in the nation that's having a support center for job placements and job supports for displaced federal workers or federal workers who are fired by the Trump administration. And so I think what people continue to see is that Maryland will continue to lead no matter the obstacles that continue to come in front of us.
And what are you hearing from employees here about the federal workers that they're helping and maybe the demand?
Well, we're seeing that we have remarkable talent here in the state of Maryland and remarkable public servants. You know, people who are doing things and making sure that our planes aren't colliding in the air. People who are doing things and making sure that that children are getting food supports. Who now find themselves arbitrarily and in many cases unfairly and illegally fired by the Trump administration. And so I think people are, when they come in, you can see there's a sense of frustration, there's a sense of anger about what they're seeing from the federal administration. But when they leave this building and they see that the state and the county and the private sector is rallying to support them, I think people are leaving with a real sense of hope.
Do you have any real numbers yet on impact on the state of Maryland and Marylanders?
Yeah, well, we know that we've already seen over 15,000 Marylanders that Donald Trump fired before the federal government shutdown. And no state has a greater level of exposure to the federal government shutdown than the state of Maryland. That we have now seen for this center alone, and they have only been open for days. They have now seen close to 300 people come in, and they've been open for days. That we've now seen thousands of people have to go in for unemployment insurance. That people are taking advantage of the no-interest loan that the state has offered. We're also seeing that there are federal workers that are still being forced to go to work and not getting paid. And so in the state of Maryland, we've actually allowed for free transportation for all of our federal workers who are going to work and not being paid because it's not fair for them.
You said there'd be limits to what the state can do. Are you approaching the limits?
No, I mean, we're going to continue doing everything that we can to cover down on the people of our states, even on things like Medicaid and WIC and SNAP, making sure that for as long as we can, that the state is going to hold it down. But knowing that we are now days away from the President of the United States cutting food aid for kids, that we're days away from the President of the United States continuing to do this assault on health care, on the American people. You know, the level of cruelty and inhumanity that we are seeing from this administration is real, but the state is going to do everything in our power to support our folks.
But speaking of SNAP and WIC and this funding, I mean, you must have gamed out how long the state can hold out and fill in the gap, and how long are you looking at? And then are they going to pay them back? Are they going to pay you all back, or is that what you're anticipating?
We're not anticipating any forms of partnership from this federal administration because they have not shown any sense that they want to partner with us. And it's not just Maryland. I mean, I've been speaking with governors all around the country who are feeling the same fear and frustration. The fact that there is no state in America that can make up for when Donald Trump orders for food assistance to be cut for our kids. There is no state in the country that has the balance sheet to be able to make up when Donald Trump orders for health insurance to be cut or for premiums to jump by 95%. I mean, the cruelty that we are seeing from the Trump administration is absolutely staggering. I know that I'm standing and working with governors around the country who say we're going to, we can try to, fill in the holes that the Trump administration is causing. But there is no state in the country that has the ability to fill up for when the federal government says you're on your own.
So how many days? How many weeks? So how many days? How many weeks do you guys have?
No, the truth is that there is no state that has the resources to plan for any form of long-term supports when Donald Trump decides to cut SNAP or when Donald Trump decides to cut insurance for people.
Governor, let's go to Pam.
Thank you. In terms of resources, the state has $3.5 billion of fully liquid cash. Will you tap that money to keep SNAP benefits flowing on November 1st if the federal money runs out, as your administration warned last night?
Yeah, the thing that the people of our state know is that we are going to be fiscally disciplined, that we believe in making sure that we can, both fill in social services and support our people, that we've got to focus on economic growth and economic diversification and weaning off of Washington, D.C., but that we also know that to be able to do that and still ensure that we have a strong rainy day, to be able to do that and ensure that we can support economic growth that is going to be really the future on how we lead out of this when the federal government decides that we're on our own. Those are things that we are also going to hold true to as well.
So will you use that money to pay for SNAP?
No,
on November 1st?
there's no state that has the resources to make up when the federal government does it, and that includes, states, to be able to tap into a rainy day fund. And so we have to do things that are going to be sustainable and effective. We are going to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to protect our people, but there is no state that has the resources to include tapping into rainy day that can make up for when the federal government says you're on your own.
I gotta ask you a Foster.
Two more.
I gotta ask you a
Let's
Foster
do
quick.
one from Bethesda today, and then we'll do three more. Bethesda today, WAMU, ABC 7.
Thank you.
Hi, Governor. I was wondering, I was at your District 18 Breakfast Club talk earlier this morning, and you gave a statistic about job gains in Maryland. I was wondering if you could expound on that and also talk about whether or not those gains have been offset by some of the actions that we've seen cutting down the federal workforce here.
Yeah, so I can touch on it, and I'd love to bring to the Secretary as well. So so since our administration has come on board, we've now added around 100,000 new jobs in the state of Maryland, which is showing that some of the fastest growing job rates that we've had within the United States. And the powerful thing about it is the majority of those jobs have been the private sector, who have come in and understood the level of talent that we have within the state of Maryland, that we've been really focusing on our lighthouse industries like life sciences and AI and aerospace and defense and IT, which are really helping to drive the measures of economic growth that we continue to see within our state. And so, yes, I mean, when Donald Trump decides to fire more federal employees in the state of Maryland than any state in the country, that's going to have very significant impacts, but also why it's very powerful that even despite all that, that Maryland's unemployment rate is still almost a full point lower than the national average is just really impressive, and we're thankful for the work that our team, also the Department of Labor, have done as well. But Madam Secretary.
That's right. I mean, Maryland has had strong private sector growth, but I think the federal jobs impacts could be very significant. We should have had additional numbers this week, but given what's happened with the BLS, that data is going to lag, and it's going to be important that we figure out after the shutdown ends what the numbers are.
Understood. Thank you.
Governor, foster care question. I don't expect you to know all of these details, but some new numbers have come out that show that the foster care system has lost track. There's about nearly 1,000 kids that are considered missing over the past 4 years. Is that troubling to you? I mean, what's your take on that? What are you going to do about it?
Oh, this is deeply troubling, and it's something that's taken up a very considerable amount of time for me and our secretaries and our agency heads, because this is deeply troubling to me. And I understand when people say that this is a problem that happened long before you became the governor and long before you even thought about becoming the governor. I understand that. But I know that in our time, this is something that has to get fixed. That we need to make sure we have better supports for our children. We've got to make sure we're having better prospects for their long-term future. That it's going to be much easier to be able to support them as kids than it is to be able to support a broken adult. And so it's our responsibility to make sure that these systems, even if we inherited them, it's our responsibilities that the systems can be fixed.
Did you hear about this number of missing kids?
Oh.
900 missing kids over the past 4 years.
Yeah, well, we have, I had not heard that specific number, but I know even the numbers that I was briefed on before, it's one is too many, and we got work to do.
Yes,
Jenny?
sir.
Speaking of growth, one of the things that people are bringing into different localities is our data centers. But I've heard from grid regulators that Maryland's grid can't handle it. It's too much on the electricity grid. What are your thoughts on this as a state?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I believe in critical infrastructure. I believe we should invest in critical infrastructure and also the industries that I think have long-term growth prospects for Maryland. I also know that it needs to be done in a way that can better secure the grid, and I think we need grid resilience. I think we've got to make sure that we're protecting ratepayers, and we cannot make economic decisions that we think are going to hose our ratepayers. And we've got to be able to ensure that we're doing things with the community. That when we're talking about growth and expansion of an industry, it is not going to be done to a community. It has to be done with community members. And so I think there's very real work to do. I believe in critical infrastructure development, but I think there's real work to do.
And how are you looking at doing that?
No, I think we're going to have to engage with community the same way we always consistently have been. I think we need to make sure that we have the private sector involved in that conversation. But when we're talking about grid resiliency, That also means, do we have a grid and also an energy policy that really does support all the various aspects of energy creation that can support our people and help our ratepayers? It's one of the frustrating things that we have seen from the Trump administration that's come on board, where I've already said, I am all for, we have to make sure we're dealing with solar and wind and nuclear and a multitude of different energy options that we both have on board right now, and also how we're going to think about energy for the future. But the Trump administration seems to be absolutely convinced that for so many of those options, they are just going to be non-starters, which will continue to decline supply and continue to jack up prices on ratepayers. And so as we're talking about all these new industries and critical infrastructure to include data centers, we just have to ensure that everybody's voice is being heard on that, and also support for ratepayers and bringing these prices down has got to be a core priority for what we're trying to get done.
Are you worried about rolling blackouts?
No, if we do this correctly. And that's the point. We have to have a resilient grid. We for the first time in a while, are actually watching a growing population in Maryland. That is a good thing. People are choosing Maryland. That is a good thing. Businesses are choosing Maryland. We've had over 30,000 new businesses start in Maryland, or that we've recruited to the state of Maryland since I've been the governor. That is a good thing. Our job growth rate is strong. That is a good thing. However, we've got to make sure we have a grid that can support that type of infrastructure. We've got to make sure we have more housing that can support that kind of growth. We've got to make sure we continue to investing in our public schools that continue to support the growth. And so everything that we are doing has got to be future facing, and that includes making sure we have grid resiliency.
Okay, we've got to go. Thank you all.
Thanks,
Governor.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Chi, would you go?